Alright everybody, welcome back to coverage of the Precision Tier for Hungarian Grand Prix. Unfortunately I got blue screened, but we are back now, and it's fair to say that Jay Fletcher's had an absolutely storming start from second on the grid, and is leading by almost 2 seconds at the moment as we slowly get the timing back. And yeah, a couple of other starts there. Obviously you managed to see the start. What caught your eye?
Well, Fletcher had a very good start. It's already nearly got 2 second gap. Hayden's now got himself back up a second, but Tom Robbo from last is all the way up to 11th already. So he's had a brilliant start. So he could definitely aim for the points. So other than that, it was very clean. Interestingly, Riley at the back has pitted and decided to go on Inters. I don't know if that was the right call or not, but it's going for a gamble. He must think it's going to rain heavier later on in the race.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one now, because you wouldn't, if they've started on dries, they obviously under the impression it's going to brighten up, and obviously lap time's still very much far away from what we would expect at this period of a race. But just having a quick look at positions gained off the start. So standout starts then, we got PB Racing, who's up 3 places. Scorpions gained 3 places, but I have to say, we talked about having a champion's drive. Tom Robbo's already up 11 places in just around a track like this and we're only on lap 3. That's quite incredible, really.
Yeah, somehow he's been able to, I didn't really get to see what happened at the back, but he must have just avoided loads of cars that were battling and was able to get through. But since then he hasn't really moved up any positions, but he's stuck behind he must get sick and tired of these Renaults. He was stuck behind him in qualifying, and now they're both battling the Renaults, and now he's got to get past both of them now.
And it looks like, obviously DRS is enabled. We've got a yellow flag out there because, oh no, Keke. Oh, it's a disaster for a Keke, still yet to score any points this season. And it looks like he's got some front wing damage as well, so obviously made contact with the wall. It's like he spun out of turn 1. And that's the worst place to lose any part of your front wing, because that is a long way back to the pits. So he's really going to have to hope, I think, for a safety car here, otherwise that could be his race ruined. And he was speaking about how confident he was of getting a good result in the wet, and this track is one of those that can bite you, especially with some of the curbs around here. And yeah, it's going to be a long road back now for the Renault driver. Hopefully for him, he maybe gets some luck later on that brings him back into it. But yeah, Jay Fletcher absolutely flying at the moment at the front, but Hayden's still doing a very good job in second. And it looks to me like Tom Robbo's biggest problem at the moment is that everyone behind the 2 McLarens are sort of caught up in a DRS train, so it's kind of difficult for him to make any more progress, really, because everyone in front of him's got DRS, so it sort of negates the effect of the DRS that he's got. So he may have to get a little bit creative with some of his overtakes now, or potentially wait it out until the pit stops. But either way, it's going to be tough for him to keep making progress. But it looks to me like, I think that's Kajman using his overtake against Schnitzel. It looks like he had a pretty decent exit, but he's not got anywhere to go with it into turn 1. And this is kind of what I was saying. From 5th place downwards, they're all kind of stuck behind each other. Well, in a DRS train, and Kajman's had a massive moment there. He managed to pick it up, but he nearly went exactly where his teammate went the previous lap. That's quite incredible. Something wrong with the Renault cars, obviously, in setup-wise through that corner, and really struggling. And you can see he's still struggling to get the power down, and he's dropped to 10th place. Renault cars having a nightmare few laps, and that's quite odd to see the same cars having the same problem at the exit of the same turn.
Must have very similar setups, and must be like a real dry setup as well. There is a flag, someone else has got off as well. It's PB Racing. PB Racing, after a great start, has got off now as well, so some people really started to struggle. Maybe the rain is coming down a bit heavier, I'm not too sure. Maybe that's why some of the guys at the back did go on Inters, but I'm starting to see people make a few mistakes now.
Yeah, it's such a difficult, the conditions are so difficult to read, and it must be difficult to set the car up perfectly for these sort of conditions, because it's not really dry and it's not really wet. It's sort of a really dodgy in between, and I guess if you're not in close proximity of any other cars, like the top 3 for instance, you're probably not pushing it that much at this stage. You just want to keep it on the road, because you've seen how much it can bite, and PB Racing is into the pit lanes, even struggling through the pit lanes. So that shows how much the conditions are tricky for the drivers here. Chris is also into the pits.
So Robert's making a move down the inside up to 7th place, trying to make a move on the last corner. Oh, and the Alpha's nearly got off as well. Turn 1 seems to be very hard to put the traction down. Seems to be very wet coming out the exit of turn 1.
It's strange really how difficult, it seems like different corners become a challenge in these conditions. Usually in the dry I'd look at the turn 5 curve as being the traditional spot to avoid, but here it seems like turn 1's proven real tricky for everyone, and I have to say Tom Robbo is absolutely flying. He only just passed Schnitzel and he's right on the back of Scorpion, should I say, already, so he's looking one of a class acts in these conditions, and while Lover's struggle, he just keeps pounding away, but he's got to be careful not to overstep it, because we've seen already this track will catch people out.
Yeah, exactly. People still need to be careful. They're still sliding around a bit. Like, I don't know if it's getting wetter or not, but the top two just seem to be pulling away now from F1 fast, and then, like you said, for these McLarens, seems to be a big group of cars stuck to each other, and they're all getting DRS, like you said, so it's very hard to overtake the car in front of you if they've got DRS too.
Yeah, he's got plenty of ERS available to him as well, as Tom Robbo, so it's not like he's been pounding through his ERS deployment either. And he's pretty close to Scorpion. Of course, Scorpion will have DRS himself, so I don't think an opportunity is going to present itself just yet, but if he can just remain close to the car in front, then he may have an opportunity later on in the lap if they make a mistake. We've got further down the field, looks like we've got Nick and Casper battling side by side, and it looks like Nick has actually gained that position, but they're still alongside going into turn 2. Casper might try the Daniel Ricciardo-esque move here around turn 2, but couldn't quite find the traction out there, and Nick maintains 10th place. Some good racing going on further down the field, and I have to say, with everything that's been going off ahead, if you can just stay in the lower end of the points, you may find yourself in a much higher place come the end of the race, because we are seeing a lot of drivers make mistakes out there.
Yeah, so PB Races decided to go on to Inters after his spin, so he thinks it's probably going to be too wet for dry. I don't know, like I said, it's really hard. It's really in between dry or wet, but most of the guys seem to be coping alright. It's interesting to see what the weather's going to stay like for the rest of the race, but yeah, like I said, Fletcher's now stretching his gap now to 3 seconds, so Fletcher's looking very comfortable up front in the Mercedes.
Yeah, he's looking very good, and Verheyen, to his credit as well, looking very solid in second place. He's comfortably ahead of Farfru. Himself isn't exactly under all sorts of pressure from the McLarens behind. I can't help feeling that, I mean, obviously, I don't know how much some of these guys are in conversation with their teammates, but I don't know about you, but I almost get the impression that Knowles' slightly being held up by his McLaren teammate, and it would be interesting to see what happened if they swapped, but I guess with cars being in such close proximity, a swap would have to be very well executed.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like the McLaren behind seems to be quicker. Seems to have a yellow flag. I think there's somebody off at the last corner. I'm not sure who that is.
That's PB Racing again, so it doesn't look like he's enjoying the intermediates any more than he enjoyed the slicks. And it's important to know he was running in third at the early stages. There's some reason as to why the gap between second and third is so big, because he was in that gap initially, but his race has just gone horribly wrong. And to be fair to Bryn, as he's called, in the build-up to this, he did say this was his first race with no line and using a wheel. So I suppose
then I totally understand that, because you know, I've had a lot of friends transfer from controller to wheel and they want to use no assist tool as well. It takes a long time. Like, you can pound the time trials and all that, but once you've gone out to race practice and all that, and with a wheel is completely different. But the Renault Cashman has caught right back up again to the pack, and I think it's all just gone to pits. One of McLaren's has gone into the pits.
Yeah, and that's Kian, so that's released his teammate Knowles. It'll be interesting to see what sort of pace he's got now. He's been released from his teammate. Of course, we are getting into the normal pit stop window to change to another set of slicks, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's going to another set of softs, so...
Robbo has, I think he's got the move. No, he's not. He's going to try to hang it around the outside into turn 2. Can he get past Scorpion? I think he will.
Oh, that's
yes,
lovely.
He will.
That's a lovely move.
Good driving by both of them, giving each other space there. And Robbo's got another place. He's up to 5th now. We're already on lap 9.
Yeah, you can probably smell as well the end of that train that he's been stuck in now, because there's just Knowlesy in front of him. And I feel like if he could get some clear air, he could really put the hammer down. But of course, how much further are those soft tyres going to go? The projected life of them is 10 laps, or I don't know, maybe he could add an extra lap on, as Hindle is out of a race. He's retired in the pit lane, it would seem. We've also got PB Racing back in the pits, but I guess he'll want all the practice he can get on the wheel, so it makes sense for him to just keep going and see what unfolds. But yeah, we're probably going to see a few drivers come into the pits now, but like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if you could probably extend by a lap or two just because of the colder temperatures and the rain that's still hanging around.
Yeah, I expect some people to react to Kia's pit stop like they are now, because the undercut is very, very powerful around here. I learned from earlier. So, but no, Robbo and Scorpion decided to stay out, but we do have Farf and the other McLaren, Nosey, in as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tom just is quite looking forward to having a bit of clear air. Just wants to have a lap, because he looks like he's that quick. He may not get affected by the undercut as much as others around him, but I'm not surprised to see Farf and Nosey in. Farf definitely has to cover off Kian. But what's going to be interesting here is because Kian rejoins, he's just overtaken Rimpe, and he's still in front of his teammate, and he's jumped Farf. So you mentioned how powerful the undercut is, and he's already gained a place on the Haas driver. And what's interesting as well is that they've gone for the medium tyres, so a splitting strategy there. And Kian going aggressive, and I think ultimately gaining from it.
Yeah, definitely. I was surprised to see him on the softs, because I thought we'd go on the mediums. For me, I think the mediums is the better tyre, but he's very good at saving his tyres and with the cool conditions. But yeah, he's gained massively there, and even more importantly, the other guys have been stuck behind a guy that's already still out, like Rimper. So
yeah, Farf just made a move on Rimper. Rimper run wide. I wouldn't be surprised if those soft tyres are starting to, or medium tyres rather, are starting to not feel so good. As the top two both come into the pits, obviously they had a bit of extra leeway on the undercut because they were so far in front. And Verheiden's picked up a penalty though in the pit lane. That's going to be very costly. And that really just puts this race even more into Jay Fletcher's hands. Everything right now is going brilliantly for him.
We've got a big problem here. The Alpha Tower is like a mobile chicane right now, and you've got three cars that are desperately trying to get past him, and it looks like he's just going to let them all through. It looked like it anyway. Yeah, Kian is absolutely flying almost off now, past the lap with 27.9, so, you know, great strategy from him.
Yeah, look at the time he's gained. He's only 3 seconds behind Verheiden now, so in those couple of laps, he's just gained super amounts of time. We've got a yellow flag. What's that about? I'm trying to see. I think it's gone now. I don't know quite what happened there, but it was a yellow flag briefly. But yeah, Kian's absolutely charging, and I wouldn't be surprised if on the soft tyres he finds a lot more grip in these conditions than us on mediums do. I think if you're on medium tyres right now, you just want it to stop raining, because while ever it continues to rain, I feel like the likes of Kian and there's a few others as well, Schnitzler and Kajman, they're going to have such an advantage on those soft tyres. You can see that the way Kian's closing down Verheiden, he's really, really charging at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to take the mediums a couple laps to properly warm up, when the softs are going to warm up straight away. So, you know, the light of Schnitzler and Kian have got to take this advantage now, because the mediums, the others are after about 7 or 8 laps, so they've got to get past and make as much time as they can. And you can see that Schnitzler's going to look for him down the inside. That's quite tight, and the Ferrari's just kept it. And hopefully he's just going to follow this here and wait till DRS and get it passed down and start finish straight.
PB Racing has called it a day on that one. In terms of getting used to such a big change, this is probably the last conditions he would have wanted. As Tom Robbo finally pits, he's the final one to make his first stop, who's near the sharp end. Of course, we have still got Rimpe out there as well, the mobile chicane, as you referred to him earlier. But let's see what Tom Robbo does then. He comes out in another set of softs, but wow, that really, even Tom Robbo on old tyres just couldn't find the pace to stop the effect of the undercut. He's rejoined down in 14th. He's behind drivers like Kajman and Nick, who I think he overtook earlier on in the race. He's going to have to do it all over again now. Yeah,
like I said, the undercut is just so big because it's such a twisted track, and when you've got fresh grip, the amount of time you can find, especially that middle to last sector, is a lot of time. And, you know, he's stayed out a bit too long, in my opinion. And now he's got to, like you said, he's got to do it all over again.
Kajman getting super impatient behind Riley, who's on intermediates, and he nearly got the power down too early. There's a real train that's developed here behind Riley, who stayed on his Inter straight lap, so he's sticking with it. And they're not terribly slow in fairness, they're not quick either, but it just shows that there's not much difference between them at the moment, and he's really holding up, and Tom Robbo will find himself once again in the train, but he's going to try and make a move on Casper, which he does down the inside, and that's a pretty impressive move because they're both on soft tyres. And what on earth is happening in front of me?
Oh, Rempis hit the button. He's trying to move out the way here, like he's just holding everybody up, and he's hit the back of the car, and it's absolutely...
Never seen anything quite like it. This is unbelievable, really. Rimpe just has no grip on those medium tyres, and thankfully I think that's most drivers now that have cleared him, but it was incredible seeing just 6 cars almost parked at the turn 13, the penultimate corner. And we've got Schnitzel now, who's making a move on Nolsey into turn 2. Is he going to complete that move? Yes, he is. So Schnitzel up to 5th place, and it almost reminds me at the moment of those on medium tyres. It almost reminds me of when F2 cars pit and go onto new tyres. They're so slow in the first few laps. It's quite unbelievable, really.
It is, and there's now a massive queue of cars now from like 9th to 30. Like Robert's trying to rally out the Renault. That would have been a great move. Surely he's not going to look for a move down the inside here.
He is.
He is as well.
Oh, and he's off the road.
And he's patient to me. I think he was very annoyed where he come out after his pit stop, and he knows that he's been held up massively by these guys, but he's going to try and be patient, or he is end up in the wall somewhere, just been on the grass there. So he's just got to calm it down and just pick them off by one. But I know how frustrated he is. But Kian to 3rd place, and it's now nearly under a second behind place. He's absolutely quiet on the softs.
He's really loving those soft tyres, but yeah, I can't help feeling that Tom just maybe completely misjudged the effect of the undercut, and Casper's in the pits. He's got front wing damage, so I don't know if there was contact between him and Tom, but Casper finds himself back in the pits, so that's not good for him. That's his 2nd stop. As Riley comes under threat from Kajman, and Kajman again out of turn 1. The Renaults have really not enjoyed the exit of turn 1. And in fact, instead of gaining a position, he's going to lose one to Tom, by the looks of it. So, at times, the Renault pair look really quick, but I don't know, that car looks like, setup-wise, looks like it's on a knife edge.
Yeah, it's definitely very unstable. I wouldn't want to be driving that car. And now Robbie's trying to run the outside. And both got wide, and Ronnie's trying to have a look. He's desperately trying to get past these guys as quickly as possible. And again, he's trying to run the outside here. Oh, God, I'm worried there's going to be an accident going to happen.
He's going to make the move stick on Riley Byes, who, like I said, these Inters isn't that slow, but Tom, yeah, super impatient, and now that's Riley trying to fend off Kajman again, and both Renaults are about to be in the same piece of tarmac again. Yeah, he's very impatient, Tom, but I almost don't think that's helping him, really, because I think it's slowed himself down so much in his battles, and it's what we're talking about. You can't win every race, even if you are the quickest driver in the field, and sometimes, especially if you're looking at winning a championship, maybe you've just got to be a little bit more patient and take what points you can get, because, you know, the difference between getting 6 points here and getting 0 could be the difference between winning and losing a championship.
Yeah, exactly, especially when it's only a 10-round championship as well. Every point matters in every race. If you know you're not going to be the quickest driver like I thought today, I thought I'm just going to get some solid points, you know, because if I do something silly, get no points, that's going to be hard to get back. So he's just got to settle down. He's a point. He'll probably get solid points, and then, you know, we all have one bad race at some point.
Oh, and Tom's had a massive moment. He's kept it from going round, but he's lost a lot of time, and the move he made on Nick has been undone, and he's just kept it in front of Kajman again. But yeah, that's not just in his overtaking, but it's coming across a little bit now that he's just maybe overdriving the car ever so slightly. Hopefully he can regain his composure after that. He's still on very new soft tyres, of course, and one of the benefits of him pitting so late is he is on the freshest tyres, so if he can just pick himself up and go again, he should be able to gain up time again. But he's walking a tightrope at the moment, and he needs to try and rein this in a little bit. It's easier said than done up here in the commentary box, but yeah, as he has a little look at passing Nick into turn turn 12 I believe that is, but he couldn't quite make it stick. And Kian does the fastest lap of the race. He's not, the gap sort of stabilised between him and Verheyen, but that suggests, judging by that fastest lap from Kian, that maybe Verheyen's upped his pace rather than Kian's dropped it.
Yeah, like he's done 6 laps on those softs now, so the best of those tyres is starting to come off a little bit now. They're probably good for another 2 or 3 laps. Like I said, this medium start coming into play. And I think the rain has stopped, unless I am seeing things.
I think you could be right there. No, I think it has stopped. So this is... Well, Riley's just pitted... I'm about to say this wouldn't play into Riley's hands, but he has just pitted for medium tyres. So he's now alright in that sense of things, but he's down in 15th, so that's not so good. But, yeah, I'm looking here at Schnitzel, who's right on the back of Farf for P4. And Farf's done a really solid job, kind of gone under the radar. I don't think he's got the most pace out there, but he's just kept it very neat and tidy and has found himself in a good position as a result of it. The top 3 are kind of in a race of their own at the moment. Obviously, we don't know yet if there'll be a safety car later on, but... yeah, it'll be interesting to see now, because it's very likely that the setups that these drivers have gone with, now that it is going to dry up, and you can see that with the fastest laps, they're already starting to come down, we could see different drivers benefit from this changing conditions.
Yeah, I think Keaton's used the best of his tyres now. He's now 2 seconds behind, and now the track's dried off more. The mediums are going to be the best tyre to use.
Schnitzel dies up the inside.
Yeah, he lost the brake. I've been watching this battle for a while, and trying to go for it. Well, Robert's got a fast lap, but it'd be interesting to see when Kian pits, because he's sort of pit mediums, and he'll get quite a bit of an undercut on these guys in front. So it'd be interesting where he comes out.
Absolutely, and Tom Robbo looks like he's about to try another move. This time on
Scorpion. Schnitzel, that's a brilliant move by Schnitzel. Around the outside of turn 4.
Oh, what's happened to Farf? Farf's gone off. So I don't know if...
Yeah. They've had a little contact, but it looked alright to me. I don't know, might need a better angle. That was a great move, but...
Yeah, maybe Farf just went off a road, but he's lost a few places due to that, down to 7. Still in the points, though, but... yeah, unfortunately, I didn't quite catch that. I was watching Tom making a move on Scorpion around the inside of turn 2, so... yeah, action happening wherever you look at the moment, and... yeah, I have to say, for Farf, it's still in a good position, and I don't think he's got any damage, as Kian pits. So, wow, that's an early stop, and maybe backs up what you said, and he's absolutely just destroyed those tyres.
Yeah, he'll get the mediums to the end easy. They could do like 20 plus laps anyway. But Kian needs to come out in clear air if he really wants to get a great under for the top 2, because he can still win this race, but he needs to get clear air.
I really don't think he's going to come out in clear air. That's the problem for him. Looking at it, he's going to actually come out in pretty much the worst bit of track he could have come out in, really. Although he's just come out in front of Nick and Kajman, which kind of reduces some of the damage. He's got a couple of cars in front of him, but they're not too close together, so they're kind of spaced out nicely, which should help him out a bit. So that's not too bad for him.
Yeah, that'll definitely help him out. He's got just over a second to catch up to the next car. But I'm interested to see if the top 2 are going to pick the softs at the end of the race, or they're going to go soft, medium, because that's the strategy I went for, because I just feel a lot more comfortable on the mediums. So it's interesting to see what different strategies. It's going to stay dry now, and the times just keep coming down, really. But let's keep in that gap nicely. Well, he sets a fast lap again now. Keep it around 2.5 seconds, but sadly Verheyen's got that penalty.
Yeah, and that really... Yeah, and he'll have to serve that, I think, when he comes in for his second stop. So that's going to undoubtedly drop him behind Kian. So I suppose in a way it gets out of the way, serving the pit lane speeding penalty under his next pit stop. If there is a late safety car, that kind of negates that effect. But he's guaranteed to lose a place to Kian. But to be fair, with Kian being on fresh tyres, that was incredibly likely to happen anyways. Kian looks at making a move. He's going to be side by side with Scorpion up to turn 2. Is Kian going to have the inside line? He is. Oh, there's a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. Kian went quite aggressively into there, but he got the move done. And yeah, he's very keen clearly to get on with it, and moves up to 8th place. And not much Scorpion could do there. Just looked like Kian had much better traction on those fresh mediums.
Yeah, that was a very important move. He had to get past Scorpion as quickly as possible. He didn't find there. and now he's got what 2.2 seconds to catch up with the Red Bull has left.
Yeah, Verheinen's left
out.
So that's a real disaster for him. But I can't believe that. And that, obviously, hopefully he can rejoin quickly. But even just being gone for even half a lap to a lap is going to cost him a lot of time. So yeah, it's a real blow for Verheinen. Hopefully he can rejoin because he's looking at his best haul of points this season by far. Yeah, he's back now, which is great news. He's lost about a second, so that's not too bad. It could have been a lot worse. As Schnitzel pits.
He's probably still got a very good chance of finishing third in this race because there was quite a bit of a gap before his pit stops happened. But yeah, Kian is on fire now, 7-9. He wants to be in front before everybody pits and have track position. Like, he's barely got any ERS left. He's absolutely pushing.
Well, one pit stop there that's kind of surprised me is Tom. Tom's just made his second stop for mediums. Obviously, I know the mediums will easily go to the end as he rejoins just in front of Riley, does he? Yeah, that was really crucial for him. He's got some nice clear air in front of him now. But what I don't really understand is it kind of negates the fact that he went a lot longer in the first stint. Because
yeah, maybe he thought about, I stayed out too long, so I'm going to come in a bit earlier and not lose too much on the undercut this time.
It looks like it's worked out pretty well in terms of his clear air, I have to say. It might be mad, it might be brilliant, but absolutely fair play to Rimpe. He's still out on those medium tyres.
19 laps on those mediums, incredible. We're surely going to do a double soft stint